Hey, welcome into Sports Bit 2.0. Pauly and Teddy, SBR Picks. Monday, March 26th, big game breakdown. NIT semis. We'll get to that a day early. Two good matchups. And also, we'll get to the Nuggets taking on Philly tonight on the road. A good one. The Sixers won 15-16 at home. We turn the shot clock on as well. Worst beat of the tournament. Teddy's been on the wrong side of a couple with the same. I hate to laugh, but it's the same team twice. Oh, my God. We'll get to all that coming up. And before we get out of here, the play of the day. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Yesterday, Kansas Duke under 156. It's 72-72 at the end of regulation. Duke leaves a guy wide open from three in a three-point game with 20 seconds. And then Grayson Allen, how does that not stay down? In and out, doesn't stay in, goes to overtime, and it completely changed in overtime once Carter fouled out for the Dukies.
Yeah, it sure was. And that was a bizarre foul call with Wendell Carter. I mean, again, admittedly, I had a ticket on Duke in my pocket, but I'll put it this way. That was no blocking foul. That's the textbook definition of a charge. And they fouled him out. And that was the key to the game. But bottom line, Kansas Duke under 156, right side the whole way. Well, you can rip up that ticket, and then, of course, Duke was not a right side. That was a coin flip game. But end of regulation, Duke's one stop from covering, one made shot away from covering. Didn't happen, and then Malik Newman went nuts in overtime. He was special for Kansas down the stretch. Kid made himself a whole bunch of money with a pretty nice showing in a pretty big game on a pretty big stage at the biggest time of the game, Pauly. Malik Newman came through in a way that Duke didn't.
Yes, great game, and you're right. Duke just needed one stop there to cash the ticket as well. Couldn't get it done. Terrific game. But with all that talent again, Coach K can't even get to the Final Four after losing the second round to South Carolina last year. How about Friday night? Oh, my God. Kansas up, whether you laid 4.5 or 5, they're up 18 with 7 minutes. They're up 11 with 2:30. Why are you fouling? They're up 10 points. They're fouling Clemson. They're turning the ball over. And then Clemson hits a jumper with 5 seconds left to put it on 4. They try to foul, but then the one guy misses. Kansas throws it to the other end of the floor. They dribble it out. For the second game in a row, a vicious beat if you had Kansas.
And that was brutal. I mean, there's literally no other way to describe that particular beat other than a brutal bad beat for Jayhawks backers. They weren't the only ones, though, that took the gas pipe this weekend, man. Texas Tech, Purdue. What about that under, Pauly, where Purdue's fouling down 15? Explain that to me.
I can't. That was a play of the day, supposed to be a winner. Put in a column, right? We've seen, down 15 with 45 seconds. They're fouling, which led to more free throws, and then Purdue came down and got an and one, and they fouled again. Georgia State was down 13 with 30 seconds left against Cincinnati, and then you get the Florida State debacle where they're down 4 with 11 seconds, and they don't foul. I don't know what I'm watching here.
Yeah, well, we saved Florida State for last, because this one, I mean, how do you describe that? Was absolute insanity. There's 11 seconds on the clock. They're down 4. I think that was the most bizarre sequence of the entire tournament. And of course, big time middle and a big time disaster area for a lot of books here in Vegas. Everyone focused on Michigan closing -4, -4.5. Guess what? Wolverines were -3.5 all over the place here in Vegas and offshore on game day. Lands 4. And then the quote from Hamilton when Dana Jacobson's asking the questions after the game, what were you thinking? Incomprehensible, Pauly. Incomprehensible what he said.
Yeah. Did you know he's 69 years old? That plays into this, too. There was a good tweet about, hey, it's past his bedtime, and old people don't like to be questioned. But hey, dummy, Virginia was down 4 with 1 second left, and they won the game. You have a trip to the Final Four on the line, and you think the game's over? Jacobson had to explain the sequence. At one point, Hamilton says to her, how much time was left? What were we down? I mean, he had no idea what was going on. It was crazy. Jay Billis ripped him too, saying you make $3 million a year, do the interview, which is part of the TV contract with CBS. So he came out and apologized, quote, in the minutes immediately following, I was interviewed by Dana Jacobson of CBS. I did not initially respond to her questions as I would have liked. She was doing her job and asking them. The combo of the drama and the raw emotion of athletics and the critical analysis of it makes for compelling TV, but not always for level-headed interviews with the participants who must immediately manage both. I wish I could have done better, end quote. Horrible job. I've never seen that before, Teddy, where one guy kind of tries, he whips, and then the whole team just like, to hell with it, game's over. Against one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the nation, and you started fouling with like 2 minutes left in the game because that was part of the strategy.
I know. Michigan did their best to give that away. They were up 10, right? They were up 10 with 2 minutes to go.
Correct.
And the Wolverines tried to give it away. They missed free throw after free throw after free throw and bad possessions. But the Leonard Hamilton stuff, I mean, the quotes that he actually gave with Jacobson's mic in his face, quote,
yep.
You think that came down to that game? You think that game came down to the final seconds of the game? Yes, Leonard Hamilton, we do think that game came down to the final seconds. When Jacobson asked why the decision was made not to foul, Hamilton said, quote, the game was over. That doesn't bode well. And if, for Florida State to go as far as they did in the tournament and then to go out like that and the bizarre ATS ending there, that was the most bizarre sequence. In a crazy tournament, that was the most bizarre sequence yet.
Yep. You said it early. You said it last week. Florida State was handed the trip to the Sweet 16 because Xavier gave it to him, who was up 11. Of all people coming from that guy, the game's over. They were down 9 with 5 minutes and came back to win. This was tough beat as well. Heat +3, and then the Heat Pacers under, which was 204.5. That was 96-96 at the end of regulation. Pacers get the money, and it goes over in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, just one more chit for all those of you out there who hate betting unders that lose in overtime. We talked about one that lost in overtime in the big dance yesterday. Obviously, got to talk about one in the NBA that lost as well. This was an intense game. I mean, this game mattered to both teams. We've seen so few of them in the NBA that they kind of stand out. But the Pacers still alive to finish as high as the number 3 seed in the East. Miami falls to number 8 with the loss yesterday, the prospect of a first-round matchup against the Raptors. These two teams brawled. The end result is, if you had the Heat, tough beat. If you had the under, brutal beat. Both were right sides. Neither one cashed a winning bet.
That'll be something to watch in the final 2 weeks of the season because the 7 seed will get Boston, and Kyrie could be out. In the 6, you might have to take on Cleveland, although I still think Philly can get there as well. Bad for the Bucks. Spurs-Bucks over 203.5 to 207.5. It fell 209. This was an entertaining game and exploded in the second half. And look at this. This was 3.5 Saturday night because you knew Curry, Durant, and Thompson were out. And then Green didn't play because he had the flu. Went up, it touched 10 here at the South Point in Vegas. Jazz from 3.5 to 9.5, as high as 10. Warriors didn't show anything up early in the first quarter. Then the Jazz got down to business and ran them out, Teddy.
Well, I mean, Golden State, again, we're talking about 4 All-Stars, okay? Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 of them, okay? When you take the 4 All-Stars off the Warriors, they're a lottery team, like any other team would be if you took their 4 best players away. The market saw it, 3.5, as you mentioned, as high as 10 in some spots, 9.5 to close, and it was no game. A 19-point win for Utah. It was as easy as it gets if you had the Jazz. You watched the third quarter of that game when Utah came out of the break,
it was over.
And it was done. No doubt. Books took a beating on this one, and frankly, they deserved to. That was a bad line they put out with the Warriors, only +3.5, despite the fact that everyone was going to be out.
Yeah, not a good landing spot on the total as well. Likewise, the Atlanta-Houston total, as the under took some action. It was a bad landing spot. Up next, big game breakdown, a good one. They're red hot. The 76ers at home against the Nuggets, who continue their long road trip, and we'll get to the NIT semifinals coming up on SportsBit 2.0. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Like the show? Help us keep the lights on. Please make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to all the Sportsbook Review videos. Thanks so much. Best of luck. Enjoy the games.